Subtitle: Welcome to our epic fantasy tale. The evil spirit hasn't stolen a wallet. The captain's just chatting, but he's responsible for 5 dead crew. Time to consult Hillman on how to take out this baddie, though Hillman doesn't sound too reliable. Captain Cruiser has to rally up a ghost hunting squad and appoints Blanche as Blanche steps onto the deck and hears a scream. A crewman sprinted from his tent. The evil spirit, an uninvited guest, flipped the tent and overpowered the crew inside. Despite searching, the ghost remained unseen, but the ghost was at the stern getting ready to meet the crew above. Cruiser hurriedly alerts Blanche through a little gap about the ghostly Chanel. The crew raises their weapons, aiming at the stern, while Blanche jumps on the railing to lower the ghost. Climbing the signal tower, Blanche's stomach drops. What the heck? The ghost is right under him like a bad penny. It's Arctic Ghost version of hide and seek. The furious ghost is busy at his feet, trying to throw him off. Blanche yells for the crew to fetch some cannon to handle the ghost. At the last moment, he grabs hold of the signal. Climbing up, he finds an old oil lamp. A shake shows a bit of oil inside. He gets a clever idea and removes the wick. Then, he jumps to a railing, clings to it to dodge the ghost's attack, but the ghost grabs his leg, leaving him screaming in pain, blood everywhere. He had no time for his wound. The ghost was eager for lunch. Luckily, he reacted fast, escaped, and climbed the railing, gritting his teeth. Meanwhile, the crew below have cannons ready for a lethal blow at the ghost. Cruiser crouches to look, but sees only white. The ghost nowhere to be seen. With no choice, they rely on Blanche to identify the target. Blanche, in agony, binds his wounded leg while Cruiser loudly calls his name. He alerts the crew the cannon's loaded, awaiting his signal. Blanche lights the wick. They shot the ghost. Flames burst, roasting it like ants on a hot pan. Firelight reveals the ghost to the crew. However, both Blanche and the ghost plummet down together. Luckily, Blanche tied his leg with rope beforehand. But this ruckus sends the ghost into a rage, echoing Gray's howls throughout the ice. He vows to take revenge on humans. Cruiser climbs the railing to save Blanche, but spots Hillman sneaking away classic fox in the henhouse. When Blanche is carried to the cabin, he's numb with cold. Cruiser gives him the last whiskey to drink and ease his pain. Blanche's bravery is admirable. Then he screams as his left leg is amputated sans anesthesia. Cruiser feels deeply guilty. He called the senior crew to the meeting room, admitting he could no longer lead. Many followed James and the Phantom, so he resigned as captain and took a back seat. But he's not throwing in the towel, vowing with tears that he will get the crew home. But the Moldicans on board are a bigger threat than the ghost, and if they keep it up, the crew will be pickled in no time. Dr. Stanley doesn't want to see this tragedy unfold. He captures the captain's pet monkey for a little experiment. This doctor feeds the monkey some old rotten cans while jotting down notes on its health. By the 3rd day, the monkey's gone wild. To avoid injury, the crew's forced to stash it in the supply room, where they peer through to find a scene right out of. After things settle down a bit, Stanley opens the door to check, only to be horrified the monkey's groped. Those teeth look like they've been on a bumpy road of poison. Long-term consumption turns people into raving lunatics, ultimately leading to death. They really need to stop messing with those cans. Subtitles: After failing to eliminate the evil spirit, the ship's high-ranking officials convene yet another emergency meeting. Cruiser fell silent after failing to kill the ghost. Since sailing in Sept. 1845, the crew's been Arctic, stranded for 3 years, unsure how long supplies will hold. By November, coal will be gone unless heating irons are cut now. Food will run out before winter, leaving them in dire straits. James decides to cut the crew's rations by 1/4, while also hoping the polar ice will vanish in a week. But Blanche protests that slashing supplies and heating suddenly could lead to disaster. He shares his traumatic Arctic story with James. At worst, people lose their minds, sometimes scarier than evil spirits. Only human bonds keep the crew sane. After some deep thinking, James decides to throw a dance party aiming to strengthen crew bonds while distracting them from their rising panic. As soon as the idea of a dance party drops, the crew perks up like caffeinated Subtitle: Volunteers erected a party tent 800 them from the ship. Despite fears of depleting supplies, the party's in full swing and Cruiser just learned of it. Cruiser sent his aide to join in. He walks in to find crew partying and wasting food. They are acting like it's a summer beach party, not stuck in the frozen tundra. Angered, Cruiser wants to call it off, but James stops him and spills the plan. Cruiser agrees with the plan, but doesn't want to lie to the crew, so he orders everyone to gather and drops the real deal on them. In a few hours, the first sunrise after polar night will arrive, marking the end of a long, eerie winter. He must lead everyone south 12A to come to the mainland. Meanwhile, runaway Hillman ignores cruise peril from the ghost, planning a deal using his dad's method. He divides the seal meat into dozens of portions, kneeling to recite some bizarre incantations. Every few seconds, the ghost's gasping breath is audible. A ghost triple the size of a polar bear emerges before him. Hillman takes out a knife, cuts his tongue to complete the trap. But for some reason, the ghost rejects him and instead gets furious, dragging him back to the party. For seeing the white-haired Hillman suddenly looking helpless, someone rushes to check, only to find his tongue is completely gone. Just then, a crewman suddenly goes berserk, pours a barrel of liquor over his head. With all eyes on him, he grabs a torch and ignites himself, instantly becoming a fireball heading toward the crowd. This move stuns all crew. The flames are out, but the area turns into a crematorium. Worse, the tent catches fire, engulfing nearly all. Luckily, they found a gap to escape. Dr. Goodsill was trampled to death. Crozer led the team to clear the fire and took the charred flag. Several crew died in the fire. James feels immense guilt had the dance not occurred. At this moment, the first ray of sunlight after the endless night rises slowly. Amid their sorrow, they finally spot a glimmer. This incident bridges the gap between Crozer and James. They abandon the hopes of finding a new route. They choose to follow Crozer, with remaining crew, trek 12A to come to mainland to survive. He orders the crew to pack up essential provisions and toss anything extra. Meanwhile, Crozer shares his thoughts with James. After Captain John died, he dispatched an expedition back to the mainland. 3 months have passed since departure. They may be returning with supplies.